Good evening, everyone. Or good morning, good afternoon, whatever time of day it is for you. Thank you for joining me again. Tonight, I have a special episode for you. It's our second episode, and in honor of that, being number 2, and it being Tuesday, it's not actually Tuesday today, but we're going to do a 2 for Tuesday. And today we have a theme, and today's theme is getting pulled over. So we have 2 stories about getting pulled over for you. All right. The first story is about me, of course, and had a couple friends in the car with me. I think I was about 22. Was working as a waiter for the first time and only time in my life I will ever work as a waiter. God bless anybody who works in the public service or is a server of any kind. If you rely on tips, God bless you. Anyways, I was working as a server at Cracker Barrel, and I was still in my uniform. It was like a blue cotton shirt and khaki pants, brown apron, had my name on it in yellow with a little star by it because I'd worked there for a year. But anyways, I had just gotten off work and picked up my friend. I'm going to say his name is Steve, and my 2 friends in the back, Chad and Eric. Steve is in the passenger seat, Chad and Eric are in the back seat, and I am driving. It is a white Volkswagen Jetta. I was driving along, and I was on my way to Steve's apartment. And to get to Steve's apartment, you have to go up this road called Whites Mill Road. And Whites Mill Road is a 2-lane road. I turn onto the road, and it's a really skinny road. That's what I was going to talk about the road for. It's really skinny lanes for some reason. There's no room. There's no shoulder. It's a very skinny road. As soon as I turned on the road, I saw headlights coming the other way. And this is a skinny road, so I made sure to be on my side of the road, driving the speed limit, which is only about 25 miles an hour. This is right in the middle of town. As soon as I pull on the road, I see the headlights coming, so I make sure to stay on my side of the road. Stay on my side of the yellow lines. But as soon as I pass the other car, next thing I know, he turns on his blue lights. It's a cop. He whips around, turns around real quick. He had to actually do a 3-point turn to turn around. And I went slow and waited for him. He pulled me over. I pulled into a parking lot that was for an apartment complex and just pulled over and waited for the police officer. Now, I was pretty nervous. Just gotten off work. I hadn't been drinking, hadn't been smoking. I mean, I really had just gotten off work, so I hadn't had time to partake in anything. And so that was good. But the bad news is that underneath my driver's seat, I actually happened to have an ounce of some really good, and I also had an ounce right next to it of some mushrooms because we were going to have a fun weekend. Well, anyways, I did not want that to be found. And that's what I was thinking about, what was under my driver's seat. Now, I don't know what my friends had in their pockets. I'm sure they had other things, with them, possibly. And none of us were happy about being pulled over, but we just sat there in silence. The police officer came up to the car, immediately starts questioning me. He says that I ran over the yellow line. I say, I didn't think I did, but I'm not going to argue with him. I don't want to piss him off. I don't want to give him any reason to give me a hard time. Anyways, the first thing he says is, oh, well, if you're tired, because my excuse was I just got off work. It was a long shift. I'm a little tired. Just taking my friends. We're going to his house. And we went to get some food right after I got off work, and now I'm taking them back to their apartment. And he's like, oh, okay. Well, if you're so tired that you're swerving across the road in front of a police officer, then maybe you should get out and do some sobriety tests. So I get out to do some sobriety tests. And the first test is, I had to walk a straight line, 9 steps, straight line turn, walk 9 steps back, which I did perfectly. I've been on my feet all day, so I'm pretty nimble, and I was not drunk, was not on any drugs at all, actually, at this time. Stone cold sober, just got off work. Just luckily hadn't had any time to do anything, really, I guess. But anyways, I was sober, so passed that test. Second test was touch my fingers to my nose, and he would tell me which hand to use. Like, he would say left, and I'm like, reach up, take my tip of my finger, touch it to the tip of my nose. and then take it back down, and then go get back in position. He'd say right, and I do it with the other hand. I don't really know what that proved. I mean, I think walking the straight line proved that I wasn't inebriated in any way. And then the third test was to put my head back, not put my hands out, just keep my hands down to my sides, put my head back, close my eyes, and guesstimate, I think he said 60 seconds, maybe just 30 seconds. Anyways, I put my head back, I counted, I said that when I thought 30 seconds had been, or 60 seconds, whichever it was, I think it was 30 seconds. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 30 seconds. And told him when I thought 30 seconds was, and he said, he asked, like, how did you come up with that? I said, I counted. He said, okay. Then he tells me, all right, well, you might be a little tired, and if you're tired, you shouldn't be driving. But go back ahead, get back in your car. I'm going to give you a warning at this point for apparently crossing the yellow lines in front of him, which I don't think I did. But he said, all right, I'm going to write you a warning. He went to his car. Then he comes back and he's like, all right, now you need to slow down, be careful out here. And if you're tired and you're too tired to drive, don't drive. Have somebody else drive. And I was like, okay, yes, sir. He said, all right, well, where are you going? Told him I'm going to my friend's apartment. And I told him at this point, I was just going to stay there because I had really decided that, yes, I was just going to stay there if I could get out of this. Anyways, he says, all right, you're good to go. He taps my door, like tap, tap, like you're good to go, points at me, and then walks away. And when he's like walking away, there's another cop that is pulled up on the street, like behind my car, I guess, because I'm off the road. And this other cop is pulled up on the street. No other cops had showed up before this, just him. And this other town cop pulls up and he walks out there in the road and talks to that town cop before I leave. I haven't even got my keys started in the car yet. And we're just like being careful and trying to be like, okay, I'm going to start my car and leave now. And before I even start my car and leave, he comes back up to my door and he says, hey, you don't have any dead bodies or hand grenades or guns in the car or anything, do you? I say, no. He's like, all right, you don't have anything you shouldn't have in the car? I said, no. He's like, all right, well, you wouldn't mind if I took a look then? And I said, well, didn't you just say I was good to go? I mean, I got a lot of stuff in my car here. I got a lot of clothes, but I live like 20 minutes away. That's why I stay at my friend's house. So I have a lot of clothes in here and a lot of my junk. You just told me that I could go. You just told me that I was good to go. Am I not good to go? And I'm saying this, and in my head, I'm picturing that, well, yeah, I'm going to refuse the search. They're going to go get a canine unit. I thought I was getting away, but he was just fucking with me. Now he's going to search the car, and they're going to get a canine unit. The canine unit's going to tag on the car because there is drugs on the car, and I'm going to jail. That's what I'm thinking. He was like, yes or no? Can I search your car or not? I'm like, no, I would prefer that you did not search my car. And he looked me dead in my eye, and I don't know why to this day I got away with this. I've guessed at this, but he just said, all right, you have a good night. Tapped on my door again, like, bye, like, all right, well, you have a good night. And I started my car and left, and he stood there watching me drive away. And as soon as I started driving away, everybody in the car starts screaming, he just refused to search. He just refused to search. What the fuck? What just happened? Steve was screaming at the top of his lungs the most. I remember that. He was in the passenger seat. He's screaming at the dudes in the back seat, saying, what just happened? He refused to search. And I don't really know why I didn't get searched that night. I really thought I was going to jail that night. And the whole time when I refused to search, I was literally picturing him getting the canine unit there and searching the car anyway. So I don't really know why. I assume it has something to do with maybe he was a younger guy, so maybe he was a new cop, and maybe he was getting ready to get off shift and he just didn't feel like doing it. I think in that moment, he just decided to not push it any further. I don't know why. Maybe because I passed the sobriety test, which is kind of unheard of in itself. I don't know. I got away that night, and that was how I got pulled over, refused to search, and got away with it. This video actually ran a little long, so I'm going to cut it into two parts. We're still going to have a 2 for Tuesday, just 2 different videos released on the same day. That's not really Tuesday. But anyways, thank you for watching.